The back segment tonight, both Donald Trump and now Ted Cruz have told us here in The Factor they believe as president, if they were elected, they would be able to round up and deport most of the estimated 12 million illegal aliens currently living in the USA. Not border people, not people coming across the border. You could send them right back. The question, does the Constitution allow a roundup like that? Joining us now from Berkeley, California, John Yoo, who teaches at the University of California Law School and here in New York City. Stephen Yale-Lair, professor of immigration law practice at Cornell. So, both Cruz and Trump on record saying they believe they can round up illegal aliens who have residence. All right? Can they?
They can, as long as they comply with the Constitution. The Due Process Clause of the Constitution says that you cannot deprive someone of their life, liberty, or property interests without due process of law. And it says that applies to all persons in the United States, not just U.S. citizens.
So what would happen then if President Trump tells his ICE officials to go and seek out and go into people's homes, take them out, and put them into custody?
They can take them into custody, but they can't just deport them on the very next day without any kind of hearing before an immigration judge. Procedural due process requires at least three fundamental things: some kind of hearing before a neutral judge and an opportunity of notice so you can gather evidence as to why you should stay in the United States. For example, about 1% of people who are in deportation proceedings are actually U.S. citizens. Other people, like refugees, have a constitutional and an international right to certain protections. So we have to sort of figure out for each individual what due process.
So there would have to be hearings, and I would assume bail. Then if they were taken into custody, they would have to be given bail, chance to get out.
Actually not, because this is a civil proceeding, so it's not a criminal proceeding. They don't have to be. They could be detained while they're waiting.
So you could put them in the Cruz detention center down in Miami, where you could detain them.
You could detain them.
All right. Do you see it that way, Professor Yoo?
Yes, I agree. I think the constitutional text says that the Due Process Clause applies to all persons in our territory, not just citizens. And the Supreme Court has said several times that in order to deport someone, an illegal alien has a right to prove it's not him, that he doesn't qualify. For example, you were asking Mr. Trump a few days ago, what if Bill O'Malley had been detained, but he's really an American citizen and it's a mistake? Our Due Process Clause requires there to be a chance that he explained that he's innocent and that the government has made an error. And so I don't see how Trump and Cruz would be able to just unilaterally grab people and kick them out of the country without going through the courts.
So you're both saying, though, that as president, all right, Trump and or Cruz, well, not Trump or Cruz, could order ICE, all right, that's the agency that would be involved, to hunt down people that aren't in this country legally. Once they find them, they could knock on their door. They could say, you have to come with us. You could take them to a detention center where they would sit until a judge could hear their case. And if they were in the country illegally, then they could deport them. Is that true?
Yes, that's the way the system works right now. I mean, we don't have, you know, jackbooted thugs running around the country breaking into people's doors.
Okay. But still, that's a fairly frightening scenario for people who are established and have children, that they get a knock on the door and then they would be taken to a detention center. So while they can't kick them out, they can certainly take them out of their day-to-day lives, right?
And they do that right now. I mean, it happens every day. Now, Trump or Cruz may do it in a larger way than under the current administration.
Right.
But currently, ICE does go to doors, knocks on their doors, hauls people into detention because they think that they are deportable because they entered illegally.
But is that a concerted effort now on the part of thousands of ICE agents doing that, or is that a targeted thing for criminals and people who are disruptive?
It's a targeted thing because the administration does not have the resources. No administration has the resources to do it for 12 or 11 million undocumented
What does that mean, though? Are there not enough judges? Would the detention centers be then, they'd have to build new ones?
Yes.
And there'd be a backlog in cases for years and all of that?
Right now we have about 225 immigration judges. It currently takes over 500 days for someone who's detained to get before an immigration judge because they're already so backlogged.
Okay, so a year and a half.
A year and a half. So if we went to this mass detention and roundup of illegal aliens, the backlogs would be even greater. So we'd have to have a lot more immigration judges. We have to have a lot more ICE agents just to find these people.
Okay, so you have, you know, but some Americans say, look, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But I believe, Professor Yoo, that the courts would get involved then. That there would be all kinds of lawsuits to block this on whatever actions, and those would have to be heard probably going up to the Supreme Court, right?
Sure. The Supreme Court has already decided several previous efforts to increase or ratchet up detention and deportation. I don't think it's a good answer because I think on the one hand, as you know, I make it clear in this book that's just out, Liberty's Nemesis, that President Obama has under-deporting and refusing to use the full resources of his department to enforce deportation. But it's not an answer, on the other hand, then to say we're going to kick everybody out and we're going to send people into everybody's homes. Either way, you're going to get Supreme Court cases and Supreme Court challenges on both sides at both extremes.
But what do you say to the American people who say, you know what, these people shouldn't be here, they broke the law, now they're being rewarded, yes, they're taking jobs away from us, and we don't like it? How do you answer that?
Well, I think the president, Cruz, Trump, Clinton, Sanders, they have to use the full resources that Congress provides to, try to get the most dangerous ones out first, criminals, people who have been here, who might be violent. There's a whole bunch of characteristics that are set out by statute. And then if the American people want more people deported, then their representatives in Congress have to provide more money and more agents to ICE. As you said, they're the only agency that can do it. Right. And they're bursting at the seams as it is with all the people they have. Although I think President Obama was deporting about 425,000 a year, and it's now down to like 280. So you could bring it back up to 400-some thousand a year, but that's not close to 12 million people.
It would take forever. All right, gentlemen, thanks very much. We appreciate it.